All right, everybody. We are officially back. The Celtics season has begun. So, unfortunately, a 117-116 loss to the Philadelphia 76ers. We're live here on YouTube, here on Twitter. We're going to recap it all with our instant reactions. Maybe, just maybe a couple overreactions. We got it all in the mix. You guys know the deal. This is Green with Envy. Let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into another season of Green with Envy. As always, this is your boy Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? Welcome to opening night 2025, 2026. Unfortunately for the Celtics, they come up a little bit short against the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. Philadelphia takes home the W 117-116. Joining me to recap tonight's events, as always, is my best friend, co-host, and the coach of our podcast, the one and only Greg Manakis. Greg, feels good to have basketball back. The result, not quite as good, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it's more or less what I was expecting this season to kind of look like. It's going to be a fun season. There's going to be a lot of highs. There's going to be some lows. And I feel like the Celtics are going to put themselves in positions to be there at the end of a lot of games, especially in the Eastern Conference. And, they had every opportunity tonight to win the game, and they just didn't come up with it.
Yeah, it's going to be a season. Like you said, I think there's going to be a lot of games that are probably somewhat reminiscent of that. Like, I felt like tonight there was some foreshadowing. And of course, we're going to be doing some predicting with that. But I feel like tonight there was certainly some foreshadowing that we can attempt to draw some conclusions to that maybe will be how the season plays out. But 117-116 was the final. We're live on YouTube right now, live on Twitter. So if you do start to trickle into the chat, get your thoughts, get your questions out. Like we're all going through. This is a brand new season. This is a very different team. It's a very different situation. So let's all be in this together, right? Let's be in this moment together. That's what we're gonna need to do to get through this. And Greg, I texted you and a few friends before the game. I'm oddly excited for a 500 basketball team, but then I quickly said I reserve the right to change my mind. I remain excited. I remain excited at this team and seeing it grow. It's been a little while since we've had a team that I feel like we can look to and really be able to trace their growth from the beginning of the season through the end. So it's a different expectation. But I think if you watch it through that lens, you're going to find ways to find the season enjoyable and honestly prevent yourself from going insane.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fun. Like, I know Abby Chin had the conversation with Peyton Pritchard before the game, and he mentioned how, like, this is, like, he's competing for a championship in his mind. If it's not this year, like, everything that they're doing this year is building towards the next championship opportunity, right? And for me as a fan, just rooting for all these guys to show that growth, knowing that as right now, if you're realistic, this isn't a championship team, but it's a fun team. And there's a lot of guys that I'm going to enjoy rooting for this year. And I want to start just kind of going through some of the guys. I want to start with Queta. I want to start with Queta tonight because the front court is the issue with this team. More than anything else, the front court beyond Queta, who has, he started 6 games for the Celtics last year. He's definitely shown promise as a big, there's the debate early last season, Queta or Cornette. Cornette won out, but there were plenty of times where people wanted Queta to get more minutes. And he had a real impact on this game, man. 25 minutes, ends up fouling out, which probably will happen more than share times with Queta. But 7 or 8 from the field. He goes 8 rebounds, 17 total points, 2 offensive rebounds. And just overall, I thought offensively, he was a real problem setting screens and rolling hard to the basket. And it's nice to have that vertical spacer rolling hard to the rim. Defensively, it was a little bit, it's tough. He's going up against Edgecombe and Maxey, who were just like,
it got better. It got better throughout the night.
It did,
I
yeah.
think he at least you felt his presence. Like the fourth quarter was the best quarter we've seen, including the preseason of Kada thus far, right? Like he was
Mhm.
really good in that fourth quarter, despite fouling out. And really, the second foul, whatever. We'll talk about Maxey and Edgecombe. Like they were just a matchup nightmare all night for the Celtics bigs, really for everyone, the Celtics, but specifically the bigs. They were putting a lot of pressure on. But I thought with Kada, Joe was, at least in the first quarter, was still doing pointer Joe, right? Where you give up an offensive rebound, he was yanking you. And, there was part of me where Kada gave up an early offensive rebound. Joe went to yank him. And then he actually played pretty well for like the 2 minutes while he was waiting for, I think it was
Mhm.
Tillman to come check in, had a couple of buckets, had a couple of nice rebounds. And it was in my head, I was like, all right, like, Joe, cool. I get what you're doing here. Let's chill with this gimmick at some point here. And Joe eventually kind of got into a more normal rhythm, but it wasn't the greatest start for Kada, right? And you saw Joe again got on him about his defense, I think late in the first quarter or in the early part of the second quarter. And it wasn't until like the middle of the second quarter he came back. So I think again, growth is going to be, I think, a word you hear us use in this podcast a lot this season. I thought Kada within this game alone showed a
Mhm.
tremendous amount of growth. And him in that fourth quarter, man, the way that he was rolling, using his verticality, just being aggressive. And like I said, defensively, I think he at least made you feel his presence at the rim, because I really liked when Joe decided to go in that fourth quarter, my best four and the best big, right? Like,
Mhm.
because that's going to be a lineup that we're probably going to see. And it may be Kada sometimes, it may be Tillman another night. Maybe it's Boucher. I don't know, whatever that big rotating big might be. But I like that he felt confident enough, or maybe it was just out of necessity, to have to be able to go to that really small lineup where you have the three guards and Simons, Pritchard, and White, and then you have Jalen and Kada as your only, you know, Jalen I'm using as a big man in this
Mhm.
scenario. And I thought that lineup did pretty well. It helped that Embiid was just the big decoy tonight, so you didn't have to really worry about him too much.
Right, and then that's where, like, let me jump in here on
Yeah, go
the
for it.
Sixers here. Like, they're not playing a big man in that moment, right? So they were going Oubre, Barlow, Edgecombe, Maxey, and Grimes. That was their five for like the end of the fourth quarter. So it's easy for the Celtics to stay small when that's the lineup you're going up against, with no true big men on the court. Like Barlow is athletic, but he's a forward. So it's easy to go with that three guard lineup, and Kata's presence on the court there, because he was by far the biggest guy on the court and he's spaced with four shooters around him. That's why
Mhm.
he was able to make the impact that he was able to make. Because if you go with someone who's not a shooter, that gums things up. Maybe you have somebody in the dunker spot, and it just makes those rolls to the rim a little bit more difficult and less wide open, because they were really wide open. So there's an argument. We got a comment from Rob version 1. He says, would have liked to see more Boucher or minutes over Simon's minutes in that fourth quarter. We played too much of that three guard lineup and we got killed on the boards. That was a winnable game. Hopefully a game to bounce back. Yeah, Boucher didn't have the impact that I was kind of hoping he would have in this game. I think he played okay in the minutes that he was out there, but I didn't hate Missoula's decision to go with the three guard lineup. To be honest with you, we lost the game when Kada fouled out, right? When Kada
Yeah.
fouled out and Tillman had to come in, we just lost the advantage that we had. Was we had the big guy on the court that they couldn't deal with, right? And they were able to attack him and get him fouled out of the game. But I could see the argument of getting another bigger body in there. But I actually like the strategy until Kada fouled out. And then Tillman had a couple moments, right? Had a couple big offensive rebounds. It just like came up
Man, that
short.
that
Came up
last
short on
putback,
the
my
last one.
God, dude.
But he had
Just
the
like
offensive rebound that led to the three that allowed us to stay in the game.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I thought
gotta,
Tillman was okay. He was solid in this. And this actually leads me to something I was thinking about watching the game today, Greg. That I think anytime that we go live after a game, we should have and we can come up with maybe a better name, but big man of the night. We need to denominate a big man of the night, because it's going to be a rotating cast of who played well for this. And that's why, like I was saying earlier, you have your best four, and it's whoever the best big is that night, or what the matchup is might be a lineup we see. Like tonight, very obviously, I think it's Neemias Queta. We don't need to really spend a lot of time on it. But I do think each time we go live, we need to have a discussion around the bigs and who was the best big that night. And there's going to be probably some nights where like nobody gets the award for this game,
mhm.
because maybe that's not the case tonight.
Well,
It's very clear that Neemias
best
Queta.
case scenario, we get rid of that gimmick quickly because Kada just proves that he's the
Exactly.
best big man, right?
Right. That's the ideal. That's the ideal. But I think for tonight, just specifically look at the big men. Keita, very solid, especially as you look at his growth throughout the game. Tillman, okay. Garza played 5 minutes, got concussed. Not much really going on there. Boucher, like you said, little underwhelming. I think honestly though, when you look at this game from the Celtics perspective, like you look at Peyton Pritchard, 1 of 7 from 3, Derek White, 4 of 13, who I thought I still think Derek White played a really great game, but that 4 of 13, so you look at 5 of 20 from the guys that are shooting the majority of your threes, 2 of 6 from Sam, who had a pretty bad game outside of that as well. Like that's kind of where this game was from an offensive perspective of looking at the box score, where it's lost. VJ Edgecombe, you can also just argue VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey won this game, which we'll talk about them in a second. But I think that's where I kind of look at this, and it's the output of combination of Sam shooting in his, untimely fouls, and then Pritchard going 1 of 7, White 4 of 13. If that's what you're going to be, when you're shooting 43 threes, making 11 of them, just going to be tough to win games, right? Like that's not a great recipe.
Yeah. Let's get to Jalen, because he's the main guy on this squad. He had a great first quarter, filling up the stat sheet. I think he had 3 of his 4 assists and maybe 5 of his 6 rebounds, or 4 of his 6 rebounds in that first quarter.
He definitely had that by halftime, and then I think I'm positive the 3 assists were in the first stint that he played of the game, and then only had 1 assist after that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting when the advanced box scores come out to see how many potential assists he had, because I feel like we were bricking a lot of shots that he was creating. So I want to give him some props there. 4 assists, 2 turnovers, ends up with 25 points, and just like an overall really solid game out of Jalen. He had his first opportunity to close out a game, right? He did not come up in that moment. He missed a mid-range jumper over Grimes, and then he had that drive on Grimes where he tried to finish kind of around. I think it was Barlow, maybe it was Bona in the game at that time. And then that's where Tillman got the offensive rebound and missed a putback. But overall, I was happy with how Jalen played. I thought he was very composed, very controlled. You would have liked to have seen him, to feel him a little bit more in the court. Like you felt Maxey and you felt Edgecombe. Like you want to feel Jalen to like rise to that moment and be the best player.
That's the number one thing to me is Jalen, and it's a tough line. But listen, he's a top 20 guy in the league, so I don't really feel that bad giving a tough criticism to a guy that's a top 20 guy in the league. That's why those guys are top 20, right? You're right. I thought he was very composed, and I liked that version of Jalen. I was thinking that all night. I was like, I like that Jalen isn't out of control, because when Jalen gets out of control, it tends to snowball, right? And that's what you don't want to see, and we can't have that with this team. Like there needs to be a certain balance, a certain level to this team to maintain their floor, and I thought Jalen did a really great job of that. But I think you nailed it with that point of VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. You felt them like, holy shit, they're coming. We can't stop them. I don't know what to do with them. And with Jalen, he was there. You knew he was there, but you didn't feel him, to your point. And especially late, like when you look at this game, and it really, this was really a Sixers team that didn't have not just Paul George, not just Jared McCain, but didn't have, Joel Embiid for all intents and purposes, right? Like, so when you look at that, you're like, Jalen, you're that dude. Right? Like this is the time where if you're going up there and there's no real big, like to your point, it was Dominic Barlow is the big out there.
A two-way player.
It's a two-way player, right? And like you have, Tyrese Maxey out there. Like that's something I don't think the Celtics did enough of, is get fucking Tyrese Maxey on Jaylen Brown.
When he had 5 fouls, he got his 5th foul when he pushed Jalen out of bounds at the big start of the fourth quarter.
And so that's something that you have to force that issue, right? Like you have Jaylen Brown, this big physical guy who's skilled, talented, and you have their best player in a bind, and you didn't force it. That's an area that the Celtics have to get better at. And that's a little bit on Mazzulla, a little bit on Jalen, a little bit on just kind of feeling it out. But you're right. I think that's the one big takeaway from Jaylen Brown's night, is that it was like an 85% success, but that 15% at the end of the night where he didn't put his mark on the game, didn't assert himself as the best player in this game. Maybe he's not. I think he is, but maybe he's not because Tyrese Maxey is pretty damn good. And that's going to be the times where it's like, yo, there's no one else to really do this. Like Jalen, that's got to be you more nights than it isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Missoula was trying to force that matchup a little bit, getting Jalen as the screener to kind of roll into Maxey. There's that like fake kickball that happened.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say
that was
the issue with
plan.
that. Yeah, the issue with that is that when Anthony Simons is the ball handler, I immediately didn't feel great about this because I was like, I didn't trust the pass, I didn't trust the dribbling, and Simons I was actually he was fine tonight. I thought he actually played. I thought he played his ass off on defense at certain stretches. And he had 13 points, 5 of 10. You're going to need probably a little bit more aggressive scoring out of Simons, I think, throughout the season. But we'll get to that. He's still figuring out the bench role. But yeah, the 2-man game with him and Jalen, immediately I was like, I don't know how I feel about Simons initiating this. But again, that's probably why they also had Maxey on Simons.
Right, exactly. Right. You want to put the worst of the creators, with Maxey on him, who's also not a physical guy. So he's not going to get Maxey in foul trouble if he decides to take Maxey to the rack. But yeah, I think Jalen, he had that one layup where he bodied through Grimes, right? He had it on the right elbow and like double spin Şengün style for the layup. And then the next possession is when he missed that elbow jumper, and then he, missed the drive towards the end of the game. So he had his opportunities. It's like it's a make or miss league at the end of the day, right? It's not like it's not like he shied away from the ball like Kevin Durant did and at the end of the game with the Thunder, where KD just was like, I got Lou Dort on me. Like, please just somebody else go do anything. Like Jalen didn't have Lou Dort on him. Jalen had Quentin Grimes on him. Like you got to step up and win that game for your team in that moment. But this is the territory, like you said, of him being the superstar of the team this year. Now he gets the criticism that we would typically give to Tatum for settling for a step back 3 in those moments, right? Which was nice. I gotta say, it was nice not to have like a million step back 3s tonight. It was pretty nice not to see that.
Yeah, and even though the Celtics only made 11 of 43 for 25%, I thought for the most part they took and got pretty good threes, right? Like I'm sure you could nitpick out of 43. I'm pretty sure someone could go through and be like, what about these
Tillman
4?
shot 3 and they had no chance of going in. So I could do without Tillman's 3.
Okay. Well, like I said, you could go find 3. Okay, so 40 of the 43 were pretty good. Also, okay, this is something I thought of, and I'll look it up here in a second. Why does everyone keep saying Luka Garza is a shooter? Like, if you go look at his basketball reference page, nothing indicates that he's a shooter. Everyone keeps saying that. Drew said it. Yeah,
he's white.
I don't get that one. People have been saying that all season or all preseason, and I got to put an end to that. Luka Garza is not a shooter. I don't know where that narrative came from, but yeah, 0 of 2 from him, and so. And then on the flip side, when you look at the 3-point line battle, 16 of 40 from the Sixers, they shoot 40%, we shoot 25%. That's sometimes how it goes if you guys are going to shoot, about the same amount. But overall, like I said, and especially when you look at the Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser, who are going to be 3 guys, and I'll throw Simons in this mix too. Those are the 4 guys that I look at like, okay, whatever amount of threes we end up taking in a game, if those 4 are playing, probably like 75% of the 3 should come from those 4 guys, right? Like that's where they should be coming from. And that's basically what happened tonight. But Simons went 2 of 6. Derek White went 4 of 13. Pritchard went 1 of 7. Hauser went 2 of 6. Like they didn't, those 4 are going to have to carry the load from the 3-point arc for the Celtics to continue to play in a style of shooting 45 to 53 a game.
What'd you think of Derek White's game tonight? He ended up going 7 for 20 from the field, 35% overall, 4 for 13 from 3, 7 or 7 from the line. 3 of those came on that shot fake 3 that he had drawing the foul. Ends up with 25 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and stealing a block.
I really like this game. I think he just missed shots. Like I think especially in that stretch of what was it, like the 8-minute mark in the second quarter to like midway through the third, when the Celtics missed, I think like 12 to 15 straight threes or whatever it was. Like he had a lot of good looks, especially early on, because when Embiid was out there, all you had to do was set a pick. Embiid was playing the laziest drop defense I think I've ever seen anyone play. Legitimately rec league pickup, but like the score's already out of control. But this was the second quarter. And And like Derek White got a bunch of looks off of that. He just missed them for a while. And then he finally, the third quarter, he got going, hit 2 there, and then started getting to the free throw line. But I really liked this game overall from him, especially the mentality. I think the mentality that he had at that in the Raptors, the last preseason game, I think it carried over to this where it's like, yo, somebody's got to get buckets on this team. Someone's got to be aggressive. We can't just be, waiting around the 3-point line. We're going to take some threes, but he was getting into the lane. He was getting, he got 7 free throws. So I like the mentality that he's taking into the season, knowing what his responsibility is going to be as that second in command to Jaylen Brown. So other than him just missing some shots, I don't really have much of an issue with Derek White's game tonight. Do you
Yeah,
feel the same
Alex.
or?
Well, I just want to give a shout out to our producer Alex, who's in the private chat. He says he likes D White's game too. He was really aggressive out of the half. Wish he continued that in the fourth quarter. He went back to settling. Defense was just okay, as Maxey was just cooking. Yeah, and this is the thing that Derek White is going to have to figure out this year, right? Where I mean, he took the most shots on the team and he had the most free throw attempts. So he was the most aggressive guy looking to score the ball tonight, right? And he is one of the best defensive guards in the league, but he's never had to have this much responsibility on the offensive end.
Different
So
balance, yeah.
how much can he balance his game? Like Jaylen Brown has always been one of the best two-way players in the game, where he does a shit ton on offense and he busts his ass on defense, right? And the conditioning that takes to be able to do both sides of the ball, where Jaylen notoriously early in his career was asleep off ball all the time, right? And he had to kind of like put those bad habits out of his game. And part of that was he was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to guard the ball. I'm going to be the point of attack defender, so I don't have to worry about being off ball, right? But now I feel like I trust Jaylen off ball more than like 4 years ago, And with Derek White tonight, he's the on ball defender against Tyrese Maxey, who is absolutely cooking. Best player on the court by far, Tyrese Maxey tonight. And it's just, you need somebody. This is why it was so great to have Drew Holiday last year, because if Derek White wasn't doing it, you could go to Drew Holiday. And now it's just Derek White. And when Jaylen has to play the 4 and he's having to guard up, and he was guarding Embiid at times tonight, like that's another point of attack defender that you don't have, right? Because he has to guard up, and Tatum could also be that guy when he was healthy. So it's just you're seeing the roster construction holes in this point, where like you're hopeful that Peyton Pritchard or Anthony Simons can turn that valve off, when in reality it's got to be Derek White, because Tyrese Maxey looked like a bona fide All NBA guy tonight.
Yeah, Maxey was unreal in this game. And, first of all, he's maybe the fastest guy in the NBA potentially. And when you factor that in with something that I thought was interesting, we talked about all preseason, was the higher pickup points, right? Like whether it's full court press, 3/4 court, or picking up right at half court. There's this benefits to it, right? But the downside of that is Tyrese Maxey gets ahead of steam, and you've got, Luka Garza or Xavier Tillman in drop coverage, and see you later. Like that's just gone. And like, even if Derek White or whoever it is tries to get by that screen or keep up, like if you have your bigs that are pulled so far away from the basket, or just giving Maxey a chance to get into, to get kind of wound up like the Energizer Bunny that he is, like you're just not going to be successful. Like that's where it's going to be. And between him and Edgecombe, that's where that strategy, especially early on, I think Missoula kind of adjusted a little bit in the second half, but early on it was killing them, because it was just like every pick and roll was just Edgecombe and Maxey just going right by. And then of course Maxey got white hot from
dude 7 for 9 from 3 out of Tyrese Maxey.
Dude, what was that in the third or fourth quarter, where he just hit like 4? They were down, I think 12, and then he just single-handedly
3 in a row,
like 4 straight. That, and then he almost hit a fourth, is what it was. And I was like, this is going in. I just assumed this is going in.
And 7 or 8 from the line, 6 assists, only 1
he was
turnover.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable game for Tyrese Maxey. I want to save him and Edgecombe. We're not a Sixers podcast, but I do want to talk about both of them, because I just think they were.
I did text my Sixer fam and let them know, like, yo, you guys got one in Edgecombe, because that dude is fucking good,
go get the kids some Edgecombe jerseys right now. Like that good. Dude's legit. Go get it right now. But let's stick with the Celtics guards for a second, because you mentioned Derek White. I want to talk a little bit about Peyton Pritchard. What did you think? Let's throw it back to you. What did you think of Peyton Pritchard's game?
So until he took the last 2 shots of the game, where Peyton Pritchard
Which, real quick on that, I know Peyton. We love a Peyton. Nobody loves a Peyton Pritchard buzzer beater more than Celtics fans. I get it. We don't have to go to him at every single buzzer beater. Like there are other things that we can do. We need to diversify this. This is a problem now.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you're saying that somewhat in jest, but like that last play was designed to get Jaylen Brown the ball on the right wing with like a empty side, right, where they ran that like football formation, three guys at half court. Jaylen was on the far side on the left, and he like cut across as three guys were kind of cutting by him diagonally, and we just couldn't get him the ball, right? So the ball ends up getting to Pritchard. Pritchard decides it's a 1-point game. I'm going to get to the basket, which is a good decision in that moment, right? And then he just kind of pussyfooted right around the basket. He probably traveled, and then he got blocked by Grimes, who's an underrated defender. So overall, though, to answer your question about his game, before those last two possessions, he was 6 for 12 from the field, right? So 1 for 7 from three. I don't know, man. I feel like I needed more from Peyton Pritchard tonight. If he's going to be the starting point guard for this team, it's like there's some moments where with Pritchard, you recognize, man, he's really like 6 feet, 6.5 feet, because he just looks small in a game where there weren't any big guys on the court, and he was still really small out there, right? And in those last two possessions, he gets blocked on both of them, right? Or just like couldn't get the last shot off with a clean look because he's so small. And that part of that is on Joe for putting him in those positions. And part of that's just the reality of who he is as a player. He's just a small point guard, right? But he's got to figure out a way as a starting point guard to play within the trees a little bit more, even when the trees like are more hedges, because he wasn't playing in the trees. He was just playing in the hedges.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good breakdown. And he had some moments where I thought playing off of 2 feet in that 10 to 14 foot range, he made some nice moves, right? A little bit of using the body contact and kind of being able to create some space. I thought he had a couple of those moments. But what really stood out to me was, again, drawing back to the last preseason game. I really praised. I was like, that's some passing and some playmaking that I haven't seen from Peyton Pritchard. And that just wasn't there tonight. And like, even on that last possession where I totally agree with you on him driving into the lane, when you go back and watch that tomorrow, he's got Simons and Hauser both wide open for shots, but he just doesn't have it. There was another play, I think is either I'm pretty sure it was in the fourth, when Nimi was starting to get going with like being able to roll, and he just was a little bit late on one pass, missed another one. And so, and part of that, to your point, might just be he's small. It's kind of like a small quarterback. Like that's why they're worried that they can't see, through everything. But it's a little worrying on a night, again, when mostly the other team wasn't playing anyone above 6'7", 6'8". Like, we're going to play a lot bigger teams coming up here. We're going to play the Knicks on Friday night. They're not going to have Mitchell Robinson, but they're still going to roll out double bigs. They had, what was it? Carlton Towns and Caporti. I don't know if you say his name, but they started with a double big lineup. So they're going to have some trees out there. That's going to be a lot more difficult to deal with than what you had to deal with tonight. So I think for me, that was the alarming part. Like the shot, whatever, 1 of 7, he'll hit shots. I'm not worried about that. Like, again, I think very similar to Derek White going 4 of 13. I thought he had good looks. I thought he had pretty good looks most of the night, just didn't hit them. Like it's gonna go in. We've seen Pritchard have a slow start from 3 before, but he's a legit bona fide 40% shooter. That will be fine. So I think that was the biggest worry for me, was again, and when you look at this team, I think they meant, like you said, we'll have to see what some of the potential assists are, but no one had more than 4 assists, right? 4 assists for Jaylen, 4 assists for Derek White. Like, we've got to find ways to create more and somebody's got to do it, right? And it's just going to be a tough balance of, if Jaylen's the one doing it, fine, but he's the guy that in this league has averaged 26 before, right? He's the guy that's built to be the engine on both sides. So if you're asking him to just step back and play make, okay, but you guys better be knocking down the shots if that's the
right.
case.
And that goes to our comments about Jaylen playing this like very composed, well-crafted floor game tonight, where you didn't feel him like you felt Maxey and Edgecombe on the court. It's because he was kind of put in that position where he needed to set other guys up, right? And I think he did a really good job of taking what the defense was giving him and not overexerting himself or forcing it when we've seen him do things like that in the past. He recognized like, oh, the entire defense is kind of bent towards me. I'm just going to drive to the basket and I'm going to kick it out. And you guys just got to hit those shots. They didn't hit the shots tonight. 16 assists total for the Celtics tonight, 11 turnovers. So 11 turnovers, good. 16 assists, not good.
Right. Yeah. That's I think the kind of way to look at it. So, a disappointing loss. I think it's a game they could have won. I think, again, no Paul George, no Embiid for all intents and purposes. That's the part that's difficult, where it's like, okay, if you really want to tell me that this team is going to be a 6 seed for the highest optimists out there, and we couldn't put this game away. It's the first game of the season, but it's not a great start if that's the case that you're looking at. Not, all season, all preseason, I've said I think this team is probably more in the 8, 9, 10 range, but we'll see. Just that's something that I think is definitely noteworthy. But for the Sixers, let's talk about that backcourt, man, because holy shit. Maxey and Edgecombe, they combined for 74 points. You mentioned, I'll just go through both of their stat lines here. VJ Edgecombe, by the way, a rookie in his first game, I think now third highest scoring debut. I think Drew Carter said on the broadcast of all time. Wilt Chamberlain, of course, is going to be number one. He had 43 points in his debut. But VJ Edgecombe played 42 minutes. Like, this is the other part about these two guys. They didn't come off the court. 42 minutes. He led the Sixers in minutes. 13 of 26, 5 of 13 from 3, 3 of 6 from the free throw line, ends up with 34 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists, only 2 turnovers. And then Tyrese Maxey played basically about the same, 13 for 24, 7 of 9 from 3, 7 of 8 from the free throw line, 6 assists to go along with 40 points and 2 steals and only 1 turnover.
That's pretty good.
Greg, these guys stole the night. Like, that's the other way to look at this game. Is just these guys won this game for the Sixers and they stole the night because they're the two stories from this game.
Dude, I had never seen Edgecombe play. I'm not a big college basketball guy, so I literally had never watched a full game of Edgecombe. I'd only seen highlights. Like, holy shit, that dude is
He didn't
fast.
look like this in college. Shout out to our guy Chris, who said he liked him in college. I don't know if that was a joke or not, but if Chris is watching Baylor basketball, shout out to you, my guy. I mean, I watched a little bit, but college, I feel like always restricts these type of athletes that you don't get to see them. This is part of the reason that I think college basketball is very frustrating to watch at times, because that was insanity. Some of the things that he did, the dunk he had early. And then I think even more impressive, honestly, was that alley-oop in transition.
That was the most impressive thing I've seen in 5 years, dude.
You know how easy he made that look? Just so casual.
And he didn't even react. After he put it in, he just turned around and ran down the court. I do this shit every day.
Never mind catching it, but catching it and adjusting to, because he was in a very awkward position. Kelly Oubre took a dribble basically taken to make it the timing way off.
He did the limbo under the rim as Josh Minott was doing the limbo under him.
Josh Minott was right there. It was well defended. For Josh Minott, it was a beat late from Kelly Oubre on the pass, and just an incredibly tough catch adjustment that he did it so seamlessly.
Dude, who we were texting about it. We were talking about how he reminded us of the Thompson twins and their athleticism. Who are the other athletes that you feel he kind of gave you the same vibes? Because one is Dennis Smith Jr. for me. When Dennis Smith Jr. first came out of college, I was whoa, that bounce is pretty crazy. He's a better player than Dennis Smith Jr., but just pure athleticism. That was one guy that came to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of some of the usual suspects, and that first dunk caught me off guard, and then I was just on edge the rest of the night. What else is this dude gonna do? But you think of the Rose, the Westbrooks, the Morants. I think a guy just popped in my mind when you said it that I wasn't expecting, an Oladipo, when Oladipo had his prime. I think because of the way, I think Oladipo would be actually who I would lean into more of, just from their style of play. I think Morant and Rose and Westbrook had a little bit more violent attacking the rim every single time, whereas Edgecombe and Oladipo had more of not a grace to their game, but it was a weapon, but not their only weapon. Early on for some of those guys, it's I'm just gonna be so violently, I'm gonna be so violently athletic, you can't do anything about it. Edgecombe was that, but then he also was very, very composed, took really smart shots. Like, I mean, it was kind of crazy to me that it was just very clear. It's like, all right, this is the Maxey and Edgecombe show. He's the rookie,
Yeah.
and he's
And
second in
it's
command tonight.
probably the guys that they need to build around. Like, fuck Paul George, fuck Joel Embiid. Like, that's probably why Joel Embiid, like, he's on a minutes restriction tonight. But part of me is he's sitting there on the bench, like, I can't keep up with these guys. Like, what am I supposed to do? They're out there killing it. I'm just gonna slow these motherfuckers
I don't even
down.
know if he touched the paint on offense. Like, I don't think he did. Like, I think he basically went 3-point line to 3-point line for the entire game. And I don't think he jumped once. And when we forget, like, Jared McCain's another guy who played, I think, like 20 something games last year before he tore his ACL. And he was off to the best early start out of the rookie class last year before he got hurt. So they have this kind of like three-headed monster in the backcourt. I don't know what it's going to be, but what I saw from Edgecombe tonight, I mean, that's one of the most, and Cooper Flag is playing right now, so I'm curious to check in on that after we get done recording. But that's one of them. It's going to be hard to top. That's one of the most impressive opening nights anyone has ever had in the history of the league. Like, he broke records by LeBron and Allen Iverson in this game and set himself up as the third leading scorer all time for a debut. Like, that was historic what he did tonight. That was crazy.
He was really good. It was just like a fun game to watch. It sucks that the Celtics lost, but I think this is where we're going to be this season. We're going to be watching a bunch of exciting,
a lot of silver linings
games.
A lot of
silver linings.
Silver linings playbook was the name. That's the name of the Celtics 2025-2026 season. But yeah, we'll see where the Celtics team goes. They have a game. We're back Friday night. We will not be recording after the game Friday night, but Friday night against the Knicks on Amazon Prime. Our first look at what the Amazon Prime broadcast look like. Actually, Greg, I did have a question for you about the broadcast tonight. What'd you think of that, like, up top camera that they were flirting around with at different points of the game?
It was different, so I didn't like it because it was different. I like just the traditional, court side, half court view. But I think it gives you a different perspective of the game, which I think, like, when you go to a game, you sit courtside versus you sit in the rafters, you just like see things differently. It's like why in football offensive coordinators are like at the bird's eye view, because you just get like a different picture of the game. So I think if they stayed on that camera a little bit longer and not try to make it like this cinematic thing that happens every once in a while, I could get used to it, or like maybe have the option to watch the game from that camera. But just cutting in and out, not a fan.
It was weird. I very much your reaction to it was my initial reaction, and then there were a couple plays where I was like, "Oh, I am actually seeing things in like a really unique perspective."
Yeah,
but
that
eventually
one drive
it was like,
Simons had in the fast break.
Yeah, exactly. And so there were some things where I was like, "Oh, this is actually way cooler." But I think it's weird because, like, you're right, they should stick with it longer if they're going to do it, but also when that view goes on for too long, it gets a little disorienting and you're like, I don't really like this anymore. So it's like very specific plays. So I think it's going to be great for replays. I think, to your point, cutting in and out in between live action is I don't know, maybe it's a little stressful on my eyes is what I'm getting to, which might just mean I'm old. But anyways, the point being, we'll see a new broadcast from Amazon Prime on Friday for Celtics Knicks, and then it'll be Sunday Celtics Pistons. We'll record sometime after that game on Sunday, so make sure you're locked in with us. YouTube, Twitter, you know the deal. Appreciate you guys supporting. Greg, let's take a quick look just around the league at some of the scores right now. And actually, before we do that, any thoughts on last night? Because last night was pretty epic as far as an opening night. NBA on NBC. Round Ball Rock is back. Round Ball Rock, that shit fucks. Like, it's so good. It's awesome. I didn't really care too much about a lot of the other stuff. Everyone was hyping up NBC broadcast. I thought it was fine. I thought it was just like not that much different, to be honest. But the game itself, and I didn't watch all of the second game, but the first game, OKC and the Rockets, was an unbelievable masterpiece, double overtime. I'm sure you have a couple of thoughts. I just want to leave the floor open for you if you had anything you wanted to bring up.
I mean, I always come back to what is it going to look like when the Celtics play these teams, and it's
terrifying.
Tough.
Terrifying.
Like, enjoy the games we get to play teams like the Sixers, because when we have to play the Thunder and the Rockets, it's not going to look as good as it did tonight.
No.
Those teams are terrifying, man. The defense that they're able to play for
And no
48
J Dub,
minutes.
no J
No
Dub,
J,
and
yeah.
no, and then also no DFS on the Rocket side too. I was
Mhm.
like all game. I was like the Rockets like Okokie's playing cool, and Okokie played pretty well. I was like, there's somebody missing. It was DFS that wasn't available for the game too.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just
Another
the
lengthy defender because that's what they need.
right. Yeah. But Jabari Smith, he stood out to me as someone who
My
looked like he
guy.
was like making a little step forward there. Thompson, I just love the way the Thompsons play, man. Like they're so much fun and they're so bouncy. Edgecombe like gave me the same vibes. I was just like, man, it's just fun watching the, top 1% of the top 1% of athletes in the world do their thing out there. And just seeing what he was able to do to Shea before he ended up going down with the calf injury. I thought he did a really good job bottling up Shea, and then Shea got loose. Shea got loose in that fourth quarter and overtime. He ends up with 35 after like having 11 going into the fourth quarter.
30 in the second half.
Yeah, like pretty crazy stuff from him. But I mean, basketball is just fun, man. Like if that's what the peak level of the product is, like I don't know how anybody can complain about basketball anymore. Like that's just fun to watch. It's competitive. Yeah. Like the defense is there for all the like the narrative of defense is gone from the NBA. Watch that game last night. That was a game 7 as the first game of the year.
Yeah. I mean, what was it like 107 to 107 to go into the first OT or something? Like, they barely got over 100 points. Like for everyone that's like too many threes, it's 130, 50 to 150. It's like they had to scratch and claw, like literally scratch and claw to get to the double overtime score, which is like 125 to 124, whatever the final score ended up being. And yeah, when you think about it, to your original point of what that looks like versus the Celtics, I mentioned, I forget which one of our chats it was in, but it was thinking back to that horrific second half last year in OKC, and you strip down the parts to what the Celtics have this year. It's like, man, if OKC just decides to turn it on versus this team, boy, oh boy, that's not going to be pretty. But
that's not going to be pretty for most teams in the
for
league.
most
That's
teams,
just,
right?
That's just what it is.
And that was my thing with the Rockets was, man, this is glaringly evident. Like to a degree, and they almost won the game, but it was glaringly evident that they were missing a reliable ball handler, which would have been Fred VanVleet for them. And not that Fred VanVleet's a wizard; he's just like composed and would have been, okay with the pressure. He's been in so many big moments, and you just constantly had, whether it was Reed Shepherd or Tari Eason, who I don't know what the hell was going on with Tari Eason.
Dude, he was terrible.
But just like there was so many Rockets that just kept picking up their dribble. Like, someone please take this ball.
Dude, they didn't even like inbound the ball sometimes because nobody went back to receive the ball. The inbounders sitting there like somebody has to come back.
Because everyone was scared. Everyone was like, I don't want it. I don't want to. I have Lou.
And I get it,
okay,
man.
cool.
I get it.
I have Jason Wallace on me. You take it. No, dude, I have Alex Caruso on me. I don't want it. So yeah, but a fun game, and the Thunder are gonna be a fucking problem. They are gonna be a problem. All right, quick look around the league here. We've got some scores that are in. Bucks go to 1-0 against the Wizards. Giannis, typical Giannis line, 37, 14, and 5. I still maintain the Bucks will be terrible, but the Wizards are far worse. So that's a win for the Bucks. Grizzlies win 128 to 122 against the Pelicans. Big night from John Morant, 35 points for him, 27, 9, and 5 for Zion. Bulls upset the Pistons here on opening night. A little bit of an upset there. Pistons, a lot of people's teams that are going to be right there in that 3, 4, 5 mix. We'll see them on Sunday. And Greg, I know you're big on the Hawks. Raptors smoked the Hawks tonight. 138.
What team am I actually big on, Will?
The Raptors?
Yeah, I picked the Raptors.
Okay. I could, dude. We talk a lot of basketball. I don't remember all your stuff. Like,
but that was like the one when we had to like pick a team that was going to be like the team this year.
That's
I picked the Raptors.
Right.
Who did you pick?
That's right. No, not the Spurs. I don't remember what I picked for that.
Yeah, you just say shit, man. You don't even remember what you say,
dude. I black out. This is the problem when I'm like, I know we had a good segment and I want to tell Alex what he should go clip. I'm like, I blacked out. I don't remember where it is or what it is. I know I just walk away going either I felt good about that show or I feel bad about that show. If I was like, I wasn't prepared, I kept interrupting Greg. I was just blabbering. And so I walk away either feeling great because we killed it. We had a good interview. We had a good flow back and forth, or I'm upset with myself for not being more prepared. I don't know what we talked about. Never do.
That's fair. Well, I picked the Raptors as my team. I said, if there's one team that could like surprise everybody and end up in the Eastern Conference Finals that nobody sees coming, like most people were picking the Hawks, I zagged and went Raptors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, maybe it was a night where Kristaps was feeling the pots. Maybe that's what it was. Whatever. Yeah, that's the diagnosis. I don't know. Whatever. We're past it, KP. We're past it. Orlando Magic 125 to 121. A lot of Magic stock going around these days. Hornets, Nets. I don't even care. Knicks, Cavs 119 to 111. That'll be a fun one to go back and watch the highlights for. We had our guy Liptak texting us saying a very different Knicks team. Going to be excited to see what it looks like. Them playing 11 guys. Certainly not a Tibbs feel. At least from the reports that we're getting, but that could be the two best teams in the East. So big win there for the Knicks. And then we got some late night games here specifically, Greg. I know when we're done, I'm going to go tune in to Spurs Mavericks. Right now it's 57 to 48 with a minute 16 left. Victor Wembanyama already up to 21 points and 7 rebounds in that one. So that'll be fun to watch. But hey, overall, this is all to say, feels good having basketball back in our lives. And yeah, just fun to have it back. Celtics wish they could have won, but hey, we're right back at it, baby. We got 2 more games before the next time we pod. We'll have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, we can't nobody get like too upset after losses this season. There's 82 of these games, right? And just enjoy every one because we don't know if we're going to get playoff basketball this year.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee that we get an extra bonus month and a half, 2 months of basketball. That's not it's been the case for, the last 5 years. Not the case this year. So enjoy it while you can. Find the parts that bring you joy. That's what I'm going to tell everybody. Find the parts that bring you joy, and let's go along for the ride.
And hey, and if it brings you joy to comment on every single one of our videos, then with negative comments, and go ahead and do that. If that brings you joy, Alex will filter through them. Alex will be the one to respond, and we're putting. And
if you want to just tell all of your friends like nonstop to like and subscribe, like just do that. Like you should do that incessantly if that's what it is that really brings you joy. Tell your friends, tell your girlfriend, tell your wife, tell your friends, your family, all of them. Like, just do it. Don't let anybody stop you. We believe in you. That's going to do it for this episode here of Green with Envy. Green with Envy live post game. Again, we will be back on Sunday following Celtics and Pistons. So tune in for that. We will have coverage for you there, as well as we will have our newest segment. If you've been following along, Mediocre Life Update, coming back to a roaring Sunday appearance. I don't know. It's getting late. I got to go. We got to get out of here. We'll see you guys later. See you on Sunday. Peace.